As I close on half a decade in the finance industry, holding 3 financial licenses and a personal investment portfolio just shy of 6 figures, these are the 8 practical money-saving tips that have allowed me to completely change my life. So hopefully they do with you as well. Become scarce. Don't think scarce. When it comes to things that are scarce, we think of gold, water, land, Star Wars memes, and money. We cannot chemically create more gold. We cannot produce water in mass. We cannot create more earth. And memes are just getting harder to come by. And yet, in 2020, we printed $3.3 trillion here in the United States, creating 1/5 of all US dollars in circulation just in 1 year. In this, it shows that money is not scarce. What is scarce is the way that we can obtain the money. There is far less jobs paying $500 an hour than there are paying $15 an hour. What is scarce is the skill set that allows you to be able to achieve that. Money is a game. When I began to think about my financial journey as a game, it drastically allowed me to be able to remove the thoughts of fear or doubt or lack of confidence, because there's one simple fact that you have to live by. You must buy assets. Everything else is simply just a distraction. Now, that's not to say that you have to only buy assets or the saying that cash is trash, because we all understand the fundamental reality that Monopoly also teaches, that if you do not have enough cash or you overextend into assets too much, you don't have enough for rent. And just for reference, the S&P 500 in the last 50 years has had an average annual return of 10.57%, while the dollar has lost over 86% of its value. This would be like $100 invested in the S&P 500 in 1970 is worth over $22,000 today. And what would cost $100 in 1970 now requires over $750 in today's USD. Discrete wealth. Oftentimes we compare ourselves to our neighbors, our classmates, our coworkers, our friends, based on the material items that they have. When I started working at a bank, it was the first time that I was able to see into the accounts of the parents whose kids I was envious of. I grew up always being so jealous of the person that had the BMW with the Rolex, being able to go on vacations in Greece or all of these other magical places, because I thought that that was the life of luxury. I thought that that was the life that meant you didn't have to worry about money. And it came to my realization that the majority of times, these were the accounts that had the most insufficient funds fees, the most credit card debt that I had seen, or that honestly, they rented the majority of their life. They didn't actually own these things. So this boils down to 2 key takeaways. 1, comparison is the thief of joy. I spent so much of my life not able to enjoy what it was that I had because I was consumed with the illusion of the lifestyle that they were living. And I realized you don't ever really know the price that someone had to pay for the lifestyle that they are living. Which gets us to number 2. The clothes, the cars, the houses that people have is a direct correlation to the standard of living that they have, not their wealth. I was not able to invest as much as I did because I was making a ton of money. For the majority of the time I worked at the bank, I was actually making less than $20 an hour. I was able to do this because I became extremely comfortable with the way in which I was living a frugal lifestyle. Eliminate the maybe. Working at a bank, I was surrounded by people set in their beliefs. I had clients microwave their cash to be able to get germs off of it and instead setting it on fire. I had people turn their cash into coin because they thought it would hold more value during inflation, or people that literally just buried their cash in the backyards because they didn't believe in banks. And the intention in this is not to judge or to mock the decisions that they had made. I don't think that there's anything that says it's better or worse than the way that I pursue my own financial journey. But the important thing is that I just simply would never listen to their advice, only because it's just far different than the way that I conceptually think about money. The important thing is to have some sort of filter around the way that you think and the way that you handle your finances, that you don't just take in everyone's advice. You want to be able to listen to the people that are either on the same path or have already walked the path that you are wanting to pursue. Whenever you start having doubt or that thought of maybe begin to creep in, that is when you're going to start making large financial mistakes. I'm someone that personally doesn't like to short the market or bet against a company as a way that they're going to do worse in the near future. However, right before the Federal Reserve began to increase interest rates, I had about $5,000 shorting the market because I just thought there's no way that the stock market isn't going to go down. I had spent months researching this, I felt very confident in what it was that I was doing, and I was following my path. But I began to listen to other people that I wouldn't normally talk to about money and what it was that they thought that I was doing. And I began having doubt, and I was thinking, maybe I shouldn't do this. And right before the meeting happened, I closed all of my short positions, taking about $1,000 loss. 2 or 3 weeks later, if I would have let the short execute, I would have made about $25,000 to $30,000. So it just shows that whenever you let a little bit of doubt creep in, whether you are right or wrong in the long run, it's important to stick to the path that you believe in. Have that filter, don't listen to just anyone and everyone talk about their financial advice. Living for sustainability. When I was in high school, I worked at a Chinese restaurant owned by my best friend's dad, and about once a month, I would get paid for 1 or 2 weeks worth that I had worked. I was always quite a bit behind on my paychecks. And what I noticed was, as time went on, my dependency on the illusion of a paycheck was becoming even more prevalent. I would go into work every day thinking, maybe today's the day that I get paid. Or I would work throughout the week and then I would be like, maybe Friday, this is a day that I can get paid. Or I would work even harder as a way to ensure maybe then I would get paid. And what I noticed is that I became so illusioned to the fact of getting paid that whenever I would get paid, I was still in pursuit of the next paycheck. So when I started my new job at the bank, I made the conscious decision that I would never work at a job that I didn't like in pursuit of a paycheck. So instead of me spending money as if I was going to get paid here shortly, I instead decided to save as if I was going to get fired shortly. I noticed that as I was always saving money, never needing to have a job, it allowed me to always stay in control of my life. If my manager was like, hey, I know that you had vacation planned, I need you to come in, I could say, no, I'm not going to do that. Because the ramifications of the illusion of getting fired was never strong enough for me to give up my own rights or to give up something that I didn't want to have. So not only is this particular tip allowing you to be able to save more money because you're not spending knowing that money is going to come right around the corner, but it's also helping you put some control and some power into your own life, never letting the corporation, never letting your boss, never letting anyone else be able to take the power away from you. So these next tips are going to relate to if you have kids or not. So for this first one, it is going to be if you do not have kids and you are in your teens to mid-20s, there is no time to be doing things safe right now. This isn't the time to be investing all into the S&P 500 or to be focusing on high yield savings accounts. This is a time that you focus on doing strategic risk because you need to be able to begin setting strong foundations for what it is that you want to do while you don't have kids, to be able to make yourself be scarce in the workforce. Now, the second tip is going to have to do with if you do have kids or you just had a kid. And the very first thing that you need to do is to be able to get them a credit card in their name. So you will be the main card holder, but they're going to be like a cosigner or an authorized user on that credit card. I have worked on my credit for about 5 years now, and I just was able to hit the big milestone that I was actually able to have a 771 credit score. But I've had to work very hard to be able to do that. My girlfriend has never had a credit card before, and she just got approved for her first card, and her credit score is 760. And that is because her parents had her as an authorized user for so long. She didn't have to do the work as long as I had to or as hard as I had to. She was already ready to be able to conquer the world. Now, this might be one of my more controversial tips, but This is going to relate to if you already have kids that are grown or you are ready to be in retirement age. I fundamentally do not believe that you need to save up to be able to give your wealth whenever you pass away. They say about 75% of all generational wealth is destroyed after the first generation, and 90% of that following is destroyed by the second generation. I fundamentally believe that it is extremely important that you actually give your money when it is needed the most. If you feel like your kids don't need it now, or you don't feel like they are in the spots where they can be responsible with the funds, the likelihood is they won't be responsible once you pass away. The likelihood that if they are doing well, they're going to be even more established and they won't need the funds as bad as they would need it as if they're trying to start their lives. If you feel like they're never going to be able to get to the point to where you want, go ahead and give it to an organization or a charity that you think would enjoy it or need it. Money is needed now. We have no idea when it is going to be used in the future.
$100 billion.
Dr. Evil, this is 1969. That amount of money doesn't even exist.